You're listening to the Clean Comedy Podcast with your host, James Creviston.
It's James, and today I have a great guy for you. So he's been on The Tonight Show, Last Comic Standing, That 70s Show, Scrubs. I love Scrubs. You guys know that. The Late Late Show, Will and Grace, Comics Unleashed, Agent Carter, Last Man Standing with Tim Allen. Great show, by the way. Talk Soup. He's also been a regular on the Bob and Tom Show. He's traveled all over the place. He's been in movies, including Starship Troopers, which is one of my favorite movies, Man on the Moon, which is one of my wife's favorite movies, and Adam Carolla's Road Hard, which I just watched like a month ago, I think, or a couple weeks ago, because something came up and it was on there, and I was like, oh, I got to watch it. And so I'm going to have to go back and watch. I'll ask him where he was at in the film, because I watched it recently, so I'm going to have to ask him where it is. But please welcome the very funny, the very talented Claude Stuart. Welcome, sir. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thank you. Good to be here, James. Hell yeah.
Now, I met you for the first time in Hollywood, and I think is it considered North Hollywood? Whatever that weird little bar show is that Resi runs. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, at UCB. Yeah, that's technically North Hollywood. That's just into it. Yeah.
Okay, so I met you there for the first time, and I was like, this guy's awesome. Like, I watched your stuff. I was like, who is this guy? And I don't know how I've never like not known you before, because you're amazing. I'm like, and I asked Darren, I was there with Darren Carter. I go, he goes, you never seen him before? I go, no, like, where did he come from? He goes, he's been around. I'm like, where's people hiding him? Why aren't they hiding him? But apparently you are everywhere, and I just haven't seen him before. So I'm very happy with that.
Oh, thank you for the kind words. Yeah, I do travel quite a bit. I'm sometimes I'm on the road so much I make Willie Nelson look agoraphobic, you know. That's probably why.
It's great though. That is such like a good show, like such a fun, wild show, because you could just do kind of whatever you want. There's no expectations. And I love that it attracts like these a bunch of these great comedians, you know, John DeResta, Darren Carter, there's like just so many people that come and do Joey Medina, like so many people that like come down there. And just like this weird, like, place to just play, and kind of there's no constraints, there's no concerns, there's no worries. You can do stuff that you wouldn't do at a club or try somewhere else. You just go, okay, let's see what happens here. And
absolutely,
it's an awesome room. I love that it's there. I need to go down there more. I just haven't been able to go recently.
I think you summed it up pretty well. It's funny. I'm actually going to be there Monday. Lenny Schmidt runs a room for comedians there. But I think the reason it's, you know, a lot of comedians feel like, hey, there's no safety net, but I'm taking a risk. Let's do it. I think it's because, you know, you're not getting paid. You're there to work new stuff out. And you're essentially playing to people arguing at pool tables in the back. Right? People watching. They're watching sports games and matches. You're basically interrupting their sports time, and then there's comics. So, you know, but there's also, you know, there's people too that kind of come and hang out and watch. And it's just like, okay, the worst that can happen is that someone hears me and doesn't like it. They're probably not listening, but let's try it. If I can make my friends laugh, let's do it. You know?
Yeah. And comedians, right? If we laugh, it's probably a good joke, or at least something you should try again, right? Because we usually will find, oh, that's funny. Now there's sometimes where you get the laugh of like, oh, I can't believe you said that. It's not going to fly. But yeah, we all know the difference in the laughter that we hear in the room from other comedians. You know, whether it was like, hey, that's a good joke, or, oh, wow, you said that. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's good. And let's be honest, James. I mean, comedians, it's hard to make us laugh. Most comedians laugh like this. That's funny. Right? You know, it's like...
That's the whole back room in the top up there. There's like 10 of us up there. Yeah. And then someone goes, that was funny. And you're like, they laugh. Like, what are you doing? But
you don't have to be Statler and Waldorf from the Muppets. You know, you're not the old guys in the balcony. Just actually, you know.
Oh, they are the old guys in the balcony. Like, we're all up in the balcony. Like, that was funny. That's not funny. You know.
Right. This is my favorite part of the show. Because it's over. Oh.
Hey, that's good. So for anyone who doesn't know your origin story, kind of tell them how you got started in comedy, kind of what you've been doing. You do a lot of acting as well, which is great. You're doing a lot of stuff. You have a dry bar. So we kind of tell everybody kind of your origin story, I guess. Let's start there.
Oh, sure. So I'm originally from another country, different country. I'm sure you've heard of it, Mississippi. They control your jealousy. Um, no, but there wasn't really comedy clubs there. The coolest thing about growing up where I did it, it was in the Delta. It was the heart of the blues, so I saw a lot of really cool blues bands. I used to watch BB King do a free show every summer. His friends Bo Diddley, all these like blues legends would come by. So that part was really cool. But when I was 18, my parents moved to Houston. I went to college in Dallas at SMU, which technically stands for Southern Methodist University.
Yep.
It should be called Sex, Money, and Underwear, but that's a whole podcast. But no, when I was there, radio TV was my major, communications, specifically radio TV. I interned for this college radio station, or sorry, it was nationwide. It was actually syndicated from Dallas. It was called Z-Rock. It was a hard rock morning show. The dude I worked for, he was like the disc jockey, Sharkman was his name. And he thought I was funny. And he's like, look, kid, you're not supposed to be on the air because you're an unpaid intern. But if you go across the hall and call me on this number, no one's going to know it's you. Just call in as some weirdo, So I would do like a redneck or a British character, and it caught on. And then the boss found out it was me, and he called me in his office. I was like, oh God, I was like, no, I didn't want to like get fired and lose my internship and have to make it up. And he goes, well, you know what happens now? I go, what? He's like, well, now I got to hire you to co-write. Whoa, so jackpot. So honestly, man, that's how I started. I was co-writing and co-hosting the morning show. We were Sharkman and the Dirt Claude in the morning. That's what he called me. I couldn't change my nickname, but like Sharkman and Dirt Claude. But it was great, man. That's how I started, and I was writing all these bits and getting a lot of PR. And then Sharkman was kind of a shock jock, so he went too far, and he got fired. He got relocated to Austin, and I kept calling into his station and doing my bits. But I was like, well, I guess now I'll just take this material I wrote for the radio and just do it on stage. So then I started doing that. I won the funniest person at SMU contest, which sounds more prestigious than it was. There was like 7 of us, and I was the only one probably who really wanted to be a comedian. And at the last minute, the other 6 just disappeared due to an accident. But I did win it, and Mark Brennan, who he goes by the Chinaman now, the super funny dude. He was performing at the college, and he was the judge. And I won, and he was like, "Hey man, let me give you some places to go." And then I started getting up, and that's how that was a very long answer, but that's how I got into comedy.
No, that's exactly that's exactly what we're looking for. Is like everyone has their origin story of how they got into it. SMU, when I was growing up in Texas, was a soccer school. There was like, if there was a kid that played soccer, they wanted to go to SMU. That was school. They wanted to play football, they would either try to go to UT or A&M or whatever. Sometimes Baylor, but not very often. Usually Baylor was for running or some other kind of like track and field sports like that. So that's good. SMU is great thing. I know that you do a lot of acting. You also are a writer. And you have a sketch series, Highland Parking on Amazon Prime. And you also do Weather Channel's Weather Gone Vile, and you do Funny Should Ask, which I think Dwayne Perkins works on that too. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Dwayne's my buddy. I've known him for years. He's in the sketch group too that we're together on the Amazon Prime series, Highland Parking. 3 words, people. Highland Parking. So we were in a sketch group called Recycle Babies, and we got this. We have a series on Amazon Prime, and Dwayne's awesome. If you guys don't know him, Dwayne Perkins, man, get to know him.
He's been on the podcast. He gave me advice when I started out doing stand up. He really changed a big direction of my career. I owe him so much. So I always, anytime I can say Dwayne Perkins, help me. Dwayne Perkins is a great guy. I will say it a million times. Shot it from the rooftops. He's one of my favorite people in the entire world. So yeah, anytime anyone ever gives me a little bit of help, like just, they give you that moment of like, hey, you should do this thing. And then you take that and you move forward with it. And you see that, hey, they were right. You go, man, that they could have given that to anybody, right? They could have said, oh, go do this to 15 people. They probably said it to 15 or 20 people, and only one person ever did it, type thing. So
no, it's great to hear you say that, because a lot of I love to tell like the young gals and girls. I'm like, listen, stay and watch the headliner. watch comedy. I mean, you don't want to, just watch it more than you're working on your own act, but at least watch the headliner, because you can learn from anybody. Drop your judgment about they've got puppets or they have a guitar or whatever they have. I mean, just look at what they're doing, because I mean, look, I'll learn from the young folks too. I mean, you can literally learn from anyone. So, yeah, if he gave you advice, that's great, because yeah, the show is funny. You should ask. It's a comedy game show. It's Byron Allen's brainchild, and Byron, I think, has more money than Jesus. I'm not sure. He's an amazing businessman, but yeah, I'm sure a lot of the writers on that, like Jody Miller is the head writer. And she just shot she shot the first comedy special at the new Ice House.
Oh wow!
So yeah, which is really cool. She just wrapped it, but it's fun, man. It's a trivia based game show, and it's just one of those things where the whole job is looking up weird facts and trying to make them funny. So
that sounds like my dream job, dude. If you need a writer, if you guys need a writer, you let me know. I'm in. Like, that sounds awesome. I love that kind of stuff. That is, I mean, I have a bachelor's and a master's in history, so I love weird
nice
facts and stuff, and just being able to find things like that. That's so funny. And also to get to work with you and Dwayne every day would be awesome too. Where I'm like, oh yeah, really? I get to hang out with these two guys? Okay, let me do that. Let's do that.
It's great because we do laugh all day. I joke with him though. I go, you become obsessed with these facts, and you know what happens? It slowly makes you autistic. You know what I mean? You're spending like 8 hours a day researching facts, and like I can't have a conversation without bringing it up. Like I'm at a party, my buddy's like, "Hey, Claude, you want a beer?" Sure. Beer was invented in Mesopotamia. What? It's true though.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about some of the stuff you're doing. So the Highland Parking, you write and you co-created it and stuff like that. What is it? Now, when you say sketch, is it more of a SNL type feel, or is it more of a I don't know, like what's the feeling for it?
It's probably a little bit more like the Kids in the Hall.
Okay.
And Bob and Dave's show, Mr. Show.
Mr. Show, okay.
That, because it's not necessarily in front of a live audience. We do have some sketches that involve an audience, but it's all previously taped, and I would say it's dark and silly, Okay. It's definitely silly, but usually something bad happens to someone in the sketch. But it's all out of love and fun. It's we have a really talented cast, like Wendy Zader and Samantha Ketcherside, Dwayne, Ian Harris, who's had 2 different comedy specials, and he actually directed Dwayne's Netflix special. And yeah, he directs a lot of good specials, But yeah, who am I leaving out? Ian, me, Dwayne, Sam, Wendy, Michael Magic, of course, yes. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. So there's a full season of Highland Parking on Amazon now. And then to answer your question about the writing. Another fun thing I did with Dwayne too. This was actually during the pandemic. So NBC did a benefit that was called Feeding America. And it was really cool. They had a lot of comedians involved. We had Chris Rock and Eddie Murphy and Adam Sandler, and we ended up feeding 16 million hungry Americans. So that was one of the probably the best things I've been a part of, just to know that we did that. So
that's amazing, man. Thanks for doing that. That's the thing, is we can use our talents for good, for the betterment of mankind, right? Because when we make people laugh in the room, when we do shows, that's an hour, 90 minutes or whatever of their life that's changed, but it's not immediately. You see it for that few minutes, and then they walk out the door and they're back to their life, right? They get in their car, they drive home, and now they have to deal with bills or whatever. But somebody who's struggling, you can use your talent to take that talent, produce something that can get money or generate revenue to then help those people for a little bit longer or whatever, even if it's 1 or 2 meals or whatever it is, and change their life. That's what I love about comedy, is we have we have magic almost. We're literally in our words and our actions, how we do things, right?
It's true. It's kind of it's up to every comedian. It's like they're a sculptor, and you're molding, and it's up to you. You can mold something into something negative and walk the entire audience, or you can do something to change people's life for the better. It's up to you.
Okay, so now I'm going to ask you about Road Hard. Where are you in Road Hard?
Oh.
Where did I miss it? Did I miss it? Because I mean, I watched it, but I was like writing and doing stuff, so I wasn't full. But maybe I'll go back. I'm going to go back and watch it because I did enjoy it. By the way.
Okay, don't blink. You probably have to get like the DVD and watch all the credits. But they did a thing in the credits where they basically did a montage of different comedians.
Okay.
And then Adam will come out and make a comment or something like that. But I'm just playing me doing my act. So
okay, gotcha.
It's not like, you're the guy, the gas attendant the entire time. They got in a fight with Adam. No, that's what it was. Yeah.
That movie's great because as a comedian, you're a comedian, go on the road or whatever. You know how sometimes it's weird to just be on the road by yourself. I don't know if you take anyone with you, but sometimes you go alone, or sometimes you go with a friend, or your opener, or you're the feature, and you go with the headliner, whatever it is. And the different events that happen on the road are just always weird. Just
totally.
You
never know who you're gonna meet.
Yeah. Do you travel alone, or you have an opener? Or how does that work for you?
I mostly do me because, like, if I'm a lot of the gigs I do, well, like if I do a cruise ship, they're just booking me, and then I'm picking up with somebody, But I mean, a lot of the gigs I do, if I'm flying, the budget doesn't really cover someone else flying with me, And I say like, hey, why don't you fly with me from LA to Alaska and pay for it,
Yeah.
I mean, so if I can drive anywhere, I've got, John Burton, I call him Johnny B. He goes with me a lot. My friend Jen Jolly, there's a number of buddies that I like to drive with,
Yeah.
Or my family, I'll take them with me too, which is, it's good and bad. The good news is I get to drive 9 hours with my family. The bad news is I get to drive 9 hours with my family. So it's like, oh my God. It's fun though. We try to do I was Northern California, and then we were driving back down through Sacramento. And so on the way back, when I was done with my tour, we just took my kiddo to the train museum there, which is really good. And he just started 4th grade, so he's studying California history with like the gold rush and the missions. And there were 2 missions there that we could hit. So it's like, hey, 2 birds, 1 stone. Let's go ahead and get ahead of school. So
there you go. That's smart. I know I have 2 daughters that are in high school, so I'm like, my wife and I. When they graduate, then let's go. She can go on the road with me more often and stuff. And
you don't look that old to have 2 high schoolers, man.
I started young, man. I'm only 42, like, so I'm still a young dude. But I started comedy late is what really happened. I started at around 35, 34, 35.
Okay, yeah.
I started later than I probably should have. I probably should have started like as soon as I got out of the Navy, or while I was in the Navy. I should have started hitting mics, do the just stuff like that. But it's what it is. I enjoy it because now I can talk about all kinds of topics. I can have dad topics, I have family topics, I have military topics, I have growing up topics, all that stuff. So there's no big deal there.
No, you're in a cool spot because 7-8 years. Bill Maher said that he goes, I feel sorry for comedians who quit at around 10 years because that's when they just start to get great.
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm finding is I'm getting better and better every time I go on stage. Like but it's like it's almost like this real upward curve movement. For a while, when you start, it's kind of just like a slope. Like you're gradually getting a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better, and then you have like the downward for a little while where you go, okay, that's not working, and then you go back and you kind of go up and down. But then when you hit about like year 8, 9, 10. You start to kind of do this like slope up of like if you're doing it right, if you're constantly getting up and you're doing shows or whatever. And then, like I said, I'm going on the road, I'm doing these things. So it's like I'm doing it and I can see this growth just kind of slowly going up. Where I'm like, okay, around year 10 or 11, it's going to be right where I need it to be to kind of get over the hump and pop the bubble and get, maybe a dry bar special or put out my own special or an album or something. And then boom, there we go. We're on the road.
And just to clarify, I'm not saying you're not great. I'm just saying you will be like, whoa, I'm at another level. I figured something out. Every time I go on the road, every time I talk to somebody, every time I work on something, there's that little incremental growth piece that you go, oh, that was great. Now I got to keep using that again. And then that's how you click up, right? But if it's the people who do the same set night after night after night after night and never grow, don't add new stuff, don't challenge themselves, don't try new things. Like I tried improv. Right. I was terrified and I was terrified of doing like crowd work or any interaction with the crowd. Right. Because what if it blows up in my face? What if they say something crazy and I can't come back with it? Right. I lose the room. So I started taking improv and that paid off right away. Immediately I did an improv class. The next day I had a show
and literally the headliner and the feature were late. So I did my set, I'm waiting for them, and then I go, no, you got to keep going. So now I'm like improving with the crowd. It went great. I was like, okay, well, thank goodness I worked on the skill. Otherwise, I'd have been there like, hi, just like staring.
Exactly.
Like, oh, what do I do now? I ended my set, right? You end your set, you go, that's my closer, and then you go, well, I can't start over, and I can't bring other bits.
Yeah.
It's weird.
So I got to follow my closer now?
Yeah.
Great. Totally. Well, it's interesting you said you started trying Risk. I think that's awesome because this is true. I was opening for Louis C.K. and he gave me some great advice because we were talking and I said, he was like, is there something that you want to talk about that you're not? And I was like, yeah, I'm in an interracial relationship and it's new and I've written stuff about it and I love it. I'm just kind of scared to, I don't know how it's going to go. And he goes, all I can tell you is anything that makes you inherently uncomfortable, that's exactly what you should be talking about. And I was like, oh, okay. And then you know what? I took his advice, and it was some of the greatest jokes that I had done. And he did. This goes back to what you were saying too. Like some people will laugh in a way that's like, oh, like that. Like I can't believe he said that. So Louis said, he goes, look, there's two types of laugh. There's one, what I call it, the Seinfeld relatable laugh. The ha, yes, I get that. And then there's the other one, which is, oh my God, I can't believe he said that. He's like, now look, I love Jerry. He's brilliant at what he does. I do the other. To me, that's the more interesting laugh. He's like, but that's just me. But he was like, just know that going on with your jokes, you can do both, but you're probably going to get one of the two.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting.
That's a good way to do it. That's exactly what we're talking about. Is like there are two different kinds of laughs. You could, as a comedian, if you're paying attention, you can hear the difference in those laughs, and you go, oh, this person's doing this stuff, and this person's doing this, or I'm doing this stuff, and this is the kind of laughs I do.
Yeah.
So what do you have going on this year? What's your goals? What do you kind of have moving forward over the next? I know there's a writer's strike. I know there's like actor strike, all that stuff. So you're probably not doing that stuff right now. But like, what do you want to keep doing? And is there going to be a second season of Highland Parking?
Oh, you know what? We did a season, and then everything was written, so we just don't know. We're kind of waiting for the double strike. Game shows have been. They've been okay to come back because they don't follow the same contract. So we always take a summer hiatus. We knew it was coming anyway, right around the strike time. So we're technically on hiatus. We've done 6 seasons of Funny You Should Ask. It started in 2017, and so now we're waiting to hear. On that front, I have a production company, 3 Degrees Entertainment. It's myself and 3 other producers. 3 of us are writers. And long story short, we have 2 projects that are fully cast, ready to go. And, we got the double strike situation, so we'll see. But one's an independent drama, and we have Sean Astin, who we all know from Rudy and from Lord of the Rings. And he's awesome, by the way.
Well, now more people know him from Stranger Things, believe it or not. My kids do. That's how they know him. Yeah.
I was going to say, the young audience, they just know him from that, the hero. But yeah, so we have him. We have John Cleese, who's amazing, and Tia Carrera. If you've ever seen any of the Wayne's World,
yep.
What's amazing about her, man? She does Hawaiian music. She's won 2 Grammys with her albums. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I had no idea, but she invited us to see her live, and she's amazing. She's an incredible singer, and but yeah, so that's one. And then the other one, there's a movie I wrote called Killer Book Club. Now, not to be confused with the one, there's another one. It's a Spanish movie, but the translation is the same, Killer Book Club. But in a nutshell, it's in an act of desperate self-defense, 4 women in a book club murder a dangerous man, and then they soon spiral into a string of questionable revenge killings. So it's a dark comedy thriller.
That's awesome.
But we have a great cast. We have Vivica A. Fox and Monica Potter, Jamie Kennedy, Jay Moore, and Craig Robinson. So it's
wow.
Yeah.
I love Craig Robinson. He serenaded my wife and I at the Ice House one time. We bought front row tickets because I'm a big Craig Robinson fan, and he did the "Take Your Panties Off" song to my wife in the front row of a show. It was awesome. I was like, this is the best night ever.
That's good. He's real down to earth guy too.
He seems like a guy literally I would just want to go hang out and have lunch with every day. Not even to like talk comedy, but just hang out and BS and laugh and whatever. And I feel like we'd be like best friends, like him and when he was in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, it was Jake and he was the Pontiac Band. I feel like that would be our relationship.
Totally.
There.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
well, that's awesome, man. I have one good question that I always ask everyone. If you could go back in time and start your comedy career over, or give your young self starting comedy one piece of advice, what piece of advice would you give yourself?
You know what? I would definitely say to myself, and I wish I had learned this when I was younger. It's actually a question, by the way. I really wish I would have learned this when I was young. It is bad crowds don't know they're bad. Yeah, they don't. Our problem is comedians, we always do this, man. If we get a crowd that's a little tight or a little polite golf clap, they're not really giving it up. We start we start comparing it to the last awesome set we have, but that doesn't help you. You just think about what's happening right now, but here's the thing. They don't know they're bad. They think, oh, this is what happens. The comedian comes out, they do the jokes. We kind of, politely chuckle, we're aware. We know they're not nearly as good as the last amazing audience, but they don't know that. They're actually enjoying themselves, So I definitely used to get caught up in my head about that. Like, everything must kill, everyone must love it. Like, it's okay. Like, even if you watch one of the greatest comedians of all time, George Carlin. George Carlin even said this. He goes, if you look at my hour, it's not boom, boom, boom. It's, come out, hit him, take him down, hit him up, take him down, hit him up. It's like, it doesn't make any sense if everything is exploding. It's just not, it's not realistic. You have to set things up and tell a story and have a tag and lead them over here before you pop them over here, So
yeah,
hopefully that makes sense what I just said.
No, it does. Exactly. Like too many comedians get in the mindset of like, you go out there and you machine gun down the audience, right? Till they're like just dying of laughter. But no, the people that you see have longevity and that do great in the business are these ones that do this roller coaster ride, just like a movie, right? You go watch a movie, and if the whole time you're watching a movie, you were crying the whole time or you were laughing the whole time and you couldn't focus, you wouldn't enjoy the film, right? Because you're like, yes, you're having those responses, but you're not really taking it all in. You're just kind of existing in the moment. But with comedy, if someone takes you, hey, they pop out, they can make you laugh right away. Okay, they're going to be funny. Now they take you down here, and then boom, they go sideways and then go up and down and back, and you're going, whoop, this is a ride. That's right. If a roller coaster was all just up, 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 up forever until the very end and just dropped you down, you go, okay, like that was okay. It was great. It was all right, But the roller coasters that you love are the ones that all do the twist turns, up, downs, and loop-de-loops, all the stuff. And you go, whoa, that was amazing,
No, totally. Yeah, because it's and that's a fantastic analogy. Because when I was young, I'd have to be like, okay, I've got a short joke, I'll do this, I'll do a crazy face, I'll do this, I'll fall down or whatever. And then just as an example, like here's a joke like I never would have done when I was younger. But it was like during the pandemic, people talked about 2020, about all the craziness that happened, right? But here's the craziest story, I think, and the media never talks about this anymore, but Alabama COVID parties. Did you hear about this? Okay. These college kids in Alabama, they would have COVID parties at their dorm rooms. What they would do, you'd walk into the party, right? There was a bunch of money in the pot. Everybody puts some money in the pot. They walk in. Someone at the party is infected with COVID. The very first new person to catch COVID wins all the money in the pot. I know. James, when I heard this story, when I first heard this, I was like you. I was shocked. I was thinking, no way. There's a college in Alabama? When did they get booked? So, that's a joke I never would have done when I was younger because, it takes too long, but it's okay. You just take your time and then, have a punchline. So
that was fantastic. Now, what is your joke writing process for you? Do you sit down? Do you put its time aside every day, or is it just things that you experience that you write it in your phone and then try to work it on stage? What's your process? Because everyone has a different process.
Yeah, I actually have two.
Okay.
One, I have to be inspired. I have to see something. Go, oh wow, that's awesome. Okay, let's figure this out. What's funny about this? What's interesting? And then the other. I try to, I don't want to say I try to force it, but I guess I do. I'll just think like, okay, my kid is impatient. What's funny about that? Something like that.
Right.
And some jokes just come to you like, this is on my dry bar special. I did, I was doing a military tour. We were in Korea. Right. And I said, I bought a shirt in Korea and the tag on the shirt said made here. It's just, that just came to me. it's silly. You know, and
It's smart. That's a smart joke because you go, oh yeah, all right.
but
You're right. Yeah, we write made in USA, but they write made here. That makes sense. It's funny.
yeah, you know, so that's just a quick. But then there's another one. This on my Drive Bar special too. I do a bit about getting carjacked in a crappy car. You know, and the concept I thought was funny, but honestly it took me a year and a half to come up with the payoff. I was like, that's how to end the joke. But it took me a year and a half because I was like, it's a funny idea, but it didn't really have an ending. You know, it didn't really have something that, you know. But
gotcha.
You know, so yeah, I have two different processes, really.
That's good. That's what I do that too. I'll have the moments of where I get inspired and I have otter.ai on my phone. So I just start talking in my phone. So it records it. So the audio and the transcription, and I go back and work on it. Or sometimes I go, you know, I really want to write a joke about this topic. And I'll just work at the computer for a little while and kind of hash it out or talk it out. And then I'll go. Usually the first person that has to pass the smell check with is my wife.
Oh,
if she hears a joke and she goes, that's not funny. It's not there yet. Then I know, okay, all right, I got to go back to the drawing board or whatever. Maybe I know it's funny. Like I'll be on my desk like, oh, that's funny. And I'll tell her and she goes, that's not funny. I'm like, no, it's funny for this reason. She's like, look, I'm telling you, because I've done it earlier when I was starting and stuff. I'm like, no, it's funny for this reason. She's like, you're going to tell the audience that? Like, you're going to go, hey, it's funny for this reason, guys. She's like, you're not going to do that. You know, like, you're not going to do it. Could you imagine if a comedian did that? He tells you, he goes, nobody likes it. He goes, hey, guys, it's funny for this reason. And then they go,
that's the name of his CD.
Yeah, it's funny for this reason.
Funny for this reason. He's selling merch. He's got bumper stickers and T-shirts.
Yeah, it's funny for this. That is like a pretty like meta or like Andy Kaufman-esque type comedian that might work at some point, but I couldn't do it. But anytime I start to think, oh, it's funny for this reason, and nobody laughed, I go, okay, I got to dig. I got to work on this because it's not. Yeah. It's obviously in my mind it worked, but it doesn't work when I tell it to other people. So let's go back to the drawing board. So yeah. Do you work jokes out with your wife too? Did you like tell her stuff and she'll tell you, oh no, it's not funny or whatever? Is she like your sounding board?
Yeah. You know what? I mean, some stuff just comes. I mean, some of the stuff they say, my family. I mean, I don't have to do much. You know, like. This is my wife's very funny. She was talking to one of her best friends, and her best friend is like really spiritual. And I love telling people my wife is spiritual because it sounds so much nicer than she's full of it.
Yeah.
But no, she's but she's very smart. But her friend she's talking to is like super spiritual, and she goes, "Do you think you've ever had a past life?" Right? And my wife goes, "Yeah, I had one. Then I had a baby." I'm like, that's awesome. You know,
bravo, man, bravo.
Yeah, and this is true. So during the pandemic, you know, my son, he was 6, and he looks up at my wife and he goes, "Mommy, will I live forever?" You know, with like big innocent eyes. And she goes, "Oh, honey, not if we keep homeschooling."
That was every parent during the pandemic. And like, even I was like with my kids, and they're like doing their stuff, and they're like, I hate school. And I'm like, I hate school too. Like, I already did this. I don't know why I'm doing it again. There's no reason I should have to be a part of this. I know. You know.
It was so crazy. Like during I was thinking about like from my child's point of view, he's like, okay, we're all inside now. All my teachers are mommy and my gym coach is dad. You know, like, and don't get me wrong, dude. I'm fast, but you're in trouble when your gym coach weighs less than the average 8th grade girl.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
I had 2 girls. I had one that was starting high school and one that was like in middle school. And they're like, hey, can you help me do the Pythagorean theorem? And I'm like, I have no idea. You lost me. I'm out. I don't even no. You're gonna have to venture out into the world and figure it out for yourself, like the ancient Roman philosophers. I'm not gonna be able to do your math.
Yeah,
you know?
Not today. You know?
Yeah.
But do you ever do this, James? Sometimes do your kids ever give you like an accidental setup? Like it's the perfect setup for here we go. You know. Yeah.
Well, I have 2 daughters, and both of them have a little bit of a mean streak and a comedic streak in them. And when I get them going, whoo, man. I was like, I should just take you 2 and drop you off at roast battle. You'll just have the time of your life. You know?
You should do. Your daughter's doing a roast battle. That'd be awesome.
Not against each other. They would just roast whoever is around because that's what they do. I watch them do it, and I go, you guys are mean. And they go, we're not mean. We're just honest. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm out of here. I don't want to be part of any. any honesty that's going on in this room. I don't want
Right. Yeah. You call it honesty. I call it being a jerk, but that's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
No, I remember my son, he'll just, the setups just come sometimes because he loves geology, and he said to me, he was studying minerals and stuff. And he's like, "Hey dad, what do you like rocks? Like, what's your favorite rock?" I'm like, "Oh, bro, I got to go with Guns N' Roses, AC/DC." but
He's like, we haven't studied those yet.
But he's like, I know like every parent is like, "Oh, my kid's a genius," but this is how I think, like, even as a child, this is how I think you have a smart kid. If they're full of questions, if they're very curious, right? He's always got questions. Then he hit me with this, man. He goes, "Daddy, what's the difference between a magician and a musician?" Right? And I was like, "Oh, well, a magician has tricks and a musician has girlfriends."
That's a good one.
So he sets me up a lot, which is nice.
There you go, man. This is awesome, man. We got to hang out more. This is so
Yeah.
fun.
Let's go to UCB Monday night.
Yeah. All right. So where can people find you? Where can they find all your stuff? I'll put it all in the show notes too, but just in case someone's listening, they're driving and they can't look at show notes right now, what's the best way for them to find your stuff?
Oh, sure. Easiest thing, just try to spell my name correctly. It's Claude with an E, so it's Claude, and then it's Stuart, Stuart. Every comedy club misspells it. Even if you misspell it, I'll pop up. You'll find me. But try to do Claude with an E, Stuart, Stuart. That's my website, claudestewart.com. I'm all over social media. I'm the most recent on Instagram. You can find me there. I have over 230,000 followers, so that's cool. Somehow I figured that one out. I do jokes about being skinny, and every week I post a ridiculous photo of a woman picking me up, like literally just picking me up. It's called Easily Picked Up, and it's ridiculous, but somehow it's caught on. So if you see that, that's what's happening.
I do like those. I think those are funny. Are they actually lifting you up? Like, did they really were able to pick you up?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
I don't weigh much for a dude, and there's a lot of strong ladies out there, man. They're like, "Yeah, I got you."
Especially if you go to the South. If you go somewhere in the South, there's like one lady that's like just like one hand you somewhere, and you're like, all right.
It's like, what? It's the water in the grave, baby. Come on.
Yeah, exactly right. I speaking about Alabama, before we get out of here, I told my kids about how NASA has their headquarters in Alabama, and my kids were like blown away by that fact. They were like, "What? Alabama?" And I'm like, "I know, I get it. Like, maybe they're just trying to figure out a way to get Alabama shipped off the planet. I don't know, but maybe who knows." So,
well, I can tell you, people rag on the South a lot, and I get it. But there is, just from growing up there, I think there's not a whole lot of in the middle gray area. Like you got the rednecks and you got the aristocrats. So there are smart folks there. You just hear a lot more about the rednecks.
Yeah. Well, there's more of us. There's more of us rednecks than there is everybody else. I consider myself that because I'm like, I'm not smart and I'm not an aristocrat, so I must be a redneck. That must be how it is there.
But hey, this as a military man, when it's time to go to war, the rednecks don't question. They're there.
Yeah. They light up, man. They're like, we've been waiting for this. You're like, calm down. Yeah, calm down. Pump the brakes there. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the podcast. Please go like, subscribe. Please go leave a review on Apple if you haven't done that. We need more reviews. We need more people doing it. Share it. I'm posting up clips from each podcast on Instagram. As much as I dislike social media, I know that it's necessary. So I am posting stuff. So you'll see clips from podcast up there. Just keep liking, subscribing. And then I'm also going to start putting out a newsletter, a monthly newsletter that shows who's going to be on the podcast, what podcasts have just come out, information, their links, all that kind of stuff, so that every month you guys are going to get all the podcast episodes, who was on and links to their stuff, so you can go follow them. You can go check out where they're going to be at, all those things, because I really want to help promote other comedians. I think it's wonderful. We have a great community there. All of us have that 6 degrees of separation, so we have to be good to each other. We have to treat each other kindly. We can't pick each other. We can't bad talk each other. We're a family, whether we like it or not. We're all a bunch of weirdos, and we all are a family. So there you go. Thank you, Claude. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Have a good one, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.